Hello everyone, welcome to today's news starter. Let us start with the most important topics which were in news for today. These were the topics, you can go through it once you get the PDF. Let us start with the prelims practice question of the day. With reference to the population of India, why population of India is very important? Because in 2023, India has crossed China to be the most populous country. So there is a very good chance you can get a question on this from current affairs or from human and economic geography. You can classify it under any of the topics, but there is a good chance of getting a question. Consider the following statements. So three statements are given. India ranks at second place in terms of population and dependencies. Regions near coastal zones and northern plains have large concentration of population in India. The decadal growth rate of population has rapidly increased over the decades, while the population density has decreased. So these are all the statements. We have to find out how many of the above statements are correct. We'll discuss about the answer by the end of this session. Keep watching it. Once we finish with all the topics, we'll discuss about it. Before going into the session, let me tell you about the prelims test series of Vishishta IAS Academy. We have a scholarship test on 24th of this month. Those students who are able to clear the scholarship test in the top 5 ranks will be provided with the entire test free of cost. And then those who are able to get into the rank of 5th to 10th will be getting it at just a nominal cost of 499 rupees. Even for other students, we are providing it at a very cheap cost. The brochure and the description about the test has been included in the description of this video. You can go through it to get a very good idea about it and enroll for it, get benefited. Now let's start with the topics. The first topic is Krishna Janmabhoomi and then Shahi Idgah case. So in today's newspaper, there was a news about this case. So in Krishna Janmabhoomi, there is a claim that Shahi Idgah Mosque is constructed on the Krishna Janmabhoomi in Mathura. So recently, the Allahabad High Court has given a order to start with the survey of the premises to find out whether it was constructed on top of the Krishna temple. So some people claim that the mosque was built in 1669 to 70 on the orders of Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb. Now we don't have to study about all these details and everything, which usually UPSC will not ask. But from this perspective, what you should know is the Places of Worship Act 1991. So even when the case regarding Ram Janmabhoomi was there, this particular act was very important. So as a civil service aspirant, as someone who is preparing for the civil services examination, when there is any controversy related to the worship, to the place of worship, this particular act becomes important. So Place of Worship Act 1991 actually freezes the status of religious places of worship on August 15, 1947. So, according to the Places of Worship Act 1991, it is clearly mentioned that any religious place and their status cannot be changed. Whatever the status was there on August 15, 1947, the same status will be continued. Then why would people ask to get into this survey and claim that this was earlier a temple? Because there are certain concessions, there are certain provisions in this which is allowing people to have a claim. So one of the major provision is this act does not apply to monuments covered by Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act 1958. So all those monuments which comes under this act. So most of the medieval monuments comes under this act. So according to this act, those monuments which are covered under this act will not be following the provisions of the provisions which are provided here. So this is the reason they have asked to do a survey. So this act prevents the conversion of a place of worship in full or part from one religious denomination to another. So if you are getting a question related to related to religionism or communalism, then this particular act becomes important. Loss and Damage Fund has been in use regularly in the recent times because of the COP28. Loss and Damage Fund becomes important for your examination also. So what exactly is Loss and Damage Fund? It is a financial mechanism designed by a conference of parties to address the irreversible consequences of climate change. So when climate change happens, two things are there. One is adaptation and second one is the damages and losses. Adaptation is how we adapt to the changes, and losses are those losses that has happened because of climate change already and which are continuing to happen, like natural disasters, heavy rain, cyclone, glacial melting. So these things comes under the loss and damage. So countries need fund for it, especially developing countries or lesser developed countries need funds for it. So that's why we have started this. So it is in COP19, which happened in Warsaw in Poland in 2013. This loss and damage fund was established. This point is very important from prelims perspective. It aims to compensate for the real losses that are incurred by the communities, countries, and ecosystem. Very important. Another fact: the Santiago Network for Loss and Damage was established at COP25, which happened in Chile. The developed nations, particularly the US, have not been committal about this. This is the major problem of Loss and Damage Fund and almost all the environmental funds. The highly developed countries such as US do not give any kind of commitment for these kind of funds. So we have not been able to collect good amount of money under the Loss and Damage Fund. What is India's status with respect to fossil fuel? India is highly dependent on fossil fuels. India imports around 80% of its petroleum, 50% of gas, and a very good sizable amount of coal. In this context, it is very difficult for India to completely phase out fossil fuels. Whereas in COP28, the countries have already agreed that we will move away from fossil fuels and adapt to the renewable energy resources. So, what is India's stand on it? Even though India is a developing country, India has committed itself to reduce the emissions by 45% by 2030, based on 2005 level. This point is very important from prelims and mains examination point of view. Extremely important. The long-term goal of India is to reach net zero emission by 2070. So, what exactly is net zero emission? From prelims point of view, you need to know what exactly is net zero emission. When the amount of CO2 emitted by the country is equal to the amount of CO2 absorbed by the country through plants, through forest, or through carbon sequestration. That is called as net zero emission. Remember it, very important. Foreign direct investment has been approved for 100% under the automatic route for renewable energy sector. Important point. Ultra mega renewable energy parks have been approved by the government. So these are all the measures we have taken to promote non-fossil fuel based energy in India. Very important for mains examination and prelims too. Russia-Ukraine war has been going on for a very long time now. Russia and Ukraine has been in war for a very long time. So from UPSC point of view, what you should know is what are all the bordering countries of Russia as well as Ukraine. Here we will deal about Ukraine. Ukraine is surrounded in the northeastern part and then in the southeastern part by Russia. On the north of it, we have Belarus, and then in the western part, we have Poland, Slovakia, Romania, and in the south, we have Moldova. In the south, Ukraine is directly open to the Black Sea. Black Sea is very important. The Crimean Peninsula is there in the south of Ukraine. Sea of Azov surrounds Ukraine and then Russia also. Crimean Peninsula has been claimed by Russia and it has already conquered the entire Crimean Peninsula. At present, it is under Russian occupation. Even though the global countries do not agree it that it is under Russia, but in reality, it has been captured by Russia. Some of the important provinces of Ukraine also should be known because they may give two, three provinces and ask these provinces belong to which country. So Kharkiv province is very important. Kharkiv province has been in the news regularly because when Russia invaded, they invaded through Kharkiv and Luhansk. So Kharkiv province is important. Luhansk province is important. And then here, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson. Apart from this, Odessa. So these points, these provinces which I have encircled here are very important for examination point of view. Try to remember them because these provinces have been in news regularly, and it is through these provinces the Russian troops entered Ukraine. Important points from mains examination point of view. So in today's news, there was a case which was going on in which the court has very clearly told the case was going on in Delhi High Court, and the Delhi High Court has very clearly told that it is not up to the judiciary to delist the parties with religious names. So there are certain parties like Hindu Sena is a party, All India Majlis-e-Ittihadul Muslimin is a party. So these parties have the name of a religion in them. So should we delist those parties is the question. So judiciary has told if we delist it, it will be an intrusion into the work of the government. The government, the parliament has to do it. So we will not be doing it. So what is the provision regarding this? Election Commission in 2005 took a policy in which they have told that we will not register any political party which has the name of a religion in it. However, those parties which have already been registered and have been having the name of a religion in their party name, there is no action against it. So, from your examination point of view, you can take a stand that it is always good not to use religion for pulling off the votes. So that can be the point, and in order to give a legitimacy to your answer, you can go with this point. Election Commission has already told it, and so Parliament should form a policy or pass a law. The main question for the day, Russia-Ukraine war, has been continuing for a very long time. Critically examine the efficiency of the United Nations organization in prevention of war and conflict. So at present, Russia-Ukraine war is going on, and at present, the Israel-Palestine war is also going on. However, the United Nations organization is not able to do anything regarding this. So what is the efficiency of United Nations organization? The question is to critically examine. So you can give the positives and the negatives also, and then you can come to a conclusion. So about negatives, you can write that even those countries which are in the United Nations Security Council, they also take sides. So it becomes extremely difficult. And in positives, you can tell that even though they are not able to prevent all the wars, at least to some extent, they are doing humanitarian work. They are having peacekeeping force. They are trying their best to prevent the wars. You can give some examples also. And for this question, I would suggest you to give a way forward in the end by telling that UNSC should include more members. India, South Africa, Brazil, etc. should be included in it. Something like that, and give more power to the UN. Some important points from prelims perspective. Lifestyle for environment movement has been in news regularly. It was started in 2021 in COP26 Glasgow. So according to the lifestyle for environment movement, uh, it is the promotion of the lifestyle of sustainability. The life movement is a promotion of sustainable living. Here we talk about circular economy. We talk about reuse, recycling, and then we talk about pro-planet people. This particular term is very important, pro-planet people, because the Prime Minister of the country told that we will promote a kind of lifestyle in which people will think and care about the planet more. So he named these people as pro-planet people. So this is the culture we want to develop. About the prelims question, we were talking about this. So three statements are there. The first statement is obviously wrong because in 2023, India crossed China and became the most populous country. Look at the second statement. Regions near coastal zones and northern plains have larger concentration of population in India, which is actually correct. Wherever plains are there, coasts are there, it becomes easy to get settled. So regions near the coastal zones and the northern plains have higher concentration of population in India. Third one, the decadal growth rate of population has rapidly increased over all the decades, while the population density has decreased. So look at it, whenever you get extreme statements like rapidly increased, usually this statement will be wrong. However, even from factual point of view, you look at it, decadal growth rate of population has actually decreased in India. It was in 1960s, 70s, the population growth was very high. Now in the recent decades, it has actually decreased. So this statement is obviously wrong. So how many of the above statements are incorrect? Two statements are incorrect, the first and third. So that will be all for today. Thank you. All the best. Study well. And if you have any doubts regarding any subject, you can ask in the description. I'm sorry, you can ask in the comment section. We will reply to it. We'll see tomorrow.